All right, let's get ready for a deep dive here. We've got a Premier League match coming up that's a little more interesting than just your average midweek game.
Yeah.
We're talking Man U versus Southampton, Thursday, January 16th. And you guys sent in a ton of articles previewing the game.
Yeah, lots to unpack.
So let's get into why this one has everyone so excited.
Well, I think what's interesting here is the contrast between the two teams. You've got Manchester United, a team that seems to be, on the upswing after a bit of a rough start, going head-to-head with a Southampton team that is fighting for their Premier League lives.
Yeah, it's a real classic tale of two teams going in opposite directions.
Yeah.
Man U, they seem to be figuring things out, but their position in the table, it doesn't really reflect that just yet.
Right.
They're sitting at 13th, which is, that's not where they want to be.
No.
But, some of the recent performances, especially that 2-2 draw against league leaders Liverpool, that suggests that they might be turning a corner.
Yeah, that draw at Anfield was a real statement performance. I think they exposed Liverpool's high line with their pace, their directness on the counterattack. And then you've got their dramatic penalty shootout victory against Arsenal in the FA Cup.
Talk about holding your nerve. Playing with 10 men for a huge chunk of that match after that Diogo Dalot red card.
Yeah.
And then Altay Bayender in goal, pulling off some absolutely incredible saves in the shootout.
Yeah.
That's the kind of resilience that can really kind of, spark a resurgence.
Right, but the question is, can they translate those cup heroics into consistent league form?
Yeah.
I mean, their string of home losses this season is a worrying sign. Old Trafford used to be a fortress, but they've been surprisingly vulnerable on their own turf.
So they're this enigma, right? Capable of beating top teams on the road, but struggling to find that consistency at home. And now they face a Southampton side who, as we said, are battling to avoid relegation.
And battling is the right word here. They are at the bottom of the table with a measly 6 points. It's looking bleak. There's no way around it.
Yeah.
They're on pace to break Derby's unfortunate record for the lowest points total in a Premier League season.
Ouch. That's got to be weighing on them.
Yeah.
Their new manager, Ivan Juric, hasn't been able to really turn things around yet. He's still looking for that first league win.
Yeah, the 5-0 drubbing by Brentford was a harsh reality check.
Yeah.
But there have been some flashes of fight, especially that 3-0 FA Cup victory against Swansea young Tyler Dibling. Scored a brace in that game.
Oh, nice.
Showed they haven't lost their bite completely.
So maybe a glimmer of hope there. Could this be one of those classic, any given Sunday type scenarios where Southampton pulls off a shock upset?
Well, if we look at the head-to-head, Man U has completely dominated Southampton in recent years.
Yeah.
Unbeaten in their last 15 Premier League encounters.
But here's where it gets interesting. Southampton's only 2 victories at Old Trafford in the last 32 years have both come in January. And guess what? This match is in January.
Little bit of a coincidence there.
Maybe.
But there's something about this time of year that seems to inspire Southampton when they visit Old Trafford.
Yeah.
Be fascinating to see if they can conjure up another January miracle.
A little bit of history repeating itself would certainly add to the drama. And speaking of drama, let's talk about some of those key player matchups that could really decide this game. We've got Bruno Fernandes for Man U, who, let's be honest, he always seems to find a way to score against Southampton.
Yeah, he does.
He even netted one in that infamous 9-0 drubbing back in 2021.
Oh, yeah.
So Fernandes definitely one to watch. On the other side, you got to keep an eye on Tyler Dibling, right? He's young, but the kid's got talent. He's got a nose for goal.
He's got that X factor,
Yeah, he's already caused problems for Man U in the past. He could be a real thorn in their side if they're not careful.
Yeah.
And speaking of things to watch out for, let's talk predicted lineups and the impact of some injuries Man U will be without Diogo Dalot due to that suspension from the red card against Arsenal.
Yeah, that's a big loss for them.
Big loss. Dalot has been, a key player for them this season, so his absence is going to force Ruben Amorim to, shuffle things around a little bit.
Yeah.
So does he go with Amad Diallo, who is a bit more of an attack-minded option at that right wing-back position? Or does he go with somebody like a Toby Collier or Tyrone Malacia, who are a bit more defensively solid? That choice could really affect how Man U approaches the game.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
If he goes with a more defensive wingback, it might suggest that Amorim is a little bit wary of Southampton's counterattacking threat. And speaking of Southampton, they could see the return of Flynn Downs from injury, which would be a huge boost to their midfield.
It would be.
But even with Downs back, their lineup still looks pretty vulnerable on paper. It's a challenge for Juric to find the right balance, the right formation, to exploit any potential weaknesses in Man U's setup.
Okay, so we've talked about the team's recent form. We've looked at some intriguing head-to-head history, the impact of key players, and potential lineups. Now let's talk about what the experts are predicting. It seems like most of them are leaning towards a Man U victory.
Yeah, not surprising given the recent form of both teams.
Right.
Some are even predicting a clean sheet for the Red Devils.
Wow, really?
But there is a small but vocal contingent who believe that Southampton might be worth a punt, particularly with a plus 1.5 handicap bet.
Now, for those who might not be familiar with the betting terminology, a plus 1.5 handicap bet on Southampton basically means they could lose by 1 goal and you'd still win the bet.
Right.
So it's a bit of a gamble, but the potential payout could be tempting.
It comes down to how much you believe in Southampton's ability to pull off an upset.
Right, and there are some, more specific predictions floating around too, like a 2-1 win for Man U or even a €1 correct score bet.
Mm-hmm.
But let's not forget about the possibility of a draw. Their last 2 encounters at Old Trafford have ended in stalemates.
Yeah, that's true.
So we've got a real mixed bag of predictions here, most favoring a Man U win, but with some intriguing possibilities for a Southampton upset or even a draw. What jumps out at you from all this info? What are you finding most interesting about this matchup?
Well, I think what's most intriguing to me is this contrast that we've been talking about.
Yeah.
We've got Man U's dominance against Southampton in recent history versus their current struggles at home. It's almost as if they're two different teams, the dominant force we've come to expect, and then this shaky, uncertain version that we've seen at Old Trafford this season.
It's a real puzzle. Which version of Man U is going to show up on Thursday?
Yeah.
The one that can dismantle top teams? Or the one that seems to stumble against, anyone at home?
Right. And then you have Southampton, a team fighting for their lives, who historically seem to find a way to make things difficult for Man U in January, particularly at Old Trafford.
Especially at Old Trafford, yeah.
It's a clash of narratives that makes this match particularly unpredictable.
Yeah, that's what's got me hooked. It's not just about the points on the table. It's about these bigger storylines playing out. We've got the psychological battle of a struggling giant versus a team, fighting for survival, and these historical quirks that just seem to add another layer of complexity.
Exactly. And then you factor in the tactical decisions each manager will make, the individual battles that will play out on the pitch, the impact of missing players like Dalot for Man U, It's shaping up to be a fascinating encounter.
All right, I think we've covered a lot of ground here, setting the stage for what promises to be a captivating match. But there's more to unpack.
Oh, yeah.
In part 2, let's delve into the tactical side of things,
Okay.
exploring the potential formations both teams might employ,
Sounds good.
how those formations could really dictate the flow of the game, and we'll analyze those key areas of the pitch where the battle will be won or lost.
I'm excited for that.
Stick with us. Okay, so we've kind of dug into the narrative surrounding both these teams, Manchester United and Southampton.
Yeah.
But now let's put on our tactical caps a little bit
Okay.
and break down how these teams might actually line up, where the key battles on the pitch are going to be.
All right. Tactically, this one is going to be interesting.
Yeah.
So Ruben Amorim, Man U's manager, he's favored this 3-4-2-1 formation for a while now.
Yeah, that's kind of become his signature style, hasn't it?
It has, yeah. 3 center backs for that solidity, wing backs bombing forward to provide the width, and then 2 attacking midfielders pulling the strings behind a lone striker.
Yeah, it's a system that allows for both, defensive stability and attacking potency.
Mm.
But Diogo Dalot's suspension, that really kind of throws a wrench into things, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. He's usually the first choice right wing back.
Yeah.
So Amorim has got some decisions to make.
Big decisions.
Uh,
Does he go with Amad Diallo, who's more of that attack-minded option? Or does he go with someone like, Toby Collier or Tyrell Malacia, who are maybe a bit more defensively solid? That choice could really affect how Man U approaches this game, I think.
Absolutely, yeah. A more defensive wing back might suggest that Amorim's a little wary of Southampton's counterattacking threat. And then on the other side, you've got Southampton and their manager, Ivan Juric. He seems to prefer a 3-4-1-2.
Okay, so mirroring Man U a little bit with that back three.
Yeah.
But a slightly different look further forward.
Exactly. So Southampton, they typically play with a lone attacking midfielder behind two strikers, which gives them a bit more directness going forward.
Yeah, I see.
They really rely heavily on that pace and creativity of their front three to create chances.
Okay, so both teams could line up with that three at the back, but those midfield and attacking battles are going to be very different.
Yeah.
The midfield battle in particular, that's going to be crucial, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. I think Man U will probably look to control the tempo, try to dictate play through their midfield. Players like Ugarte, Mainu, they're going to be key in that. And, if Fernandes drops deeper, he could be pulling the strings there as well.
Yeah, they're going to have to be sharp with their passing, finding ways to break down what's likely to be a very organized Southampton defense.
For sure. On the other side, Southampton will be looking to disrupt Man U's rhythm, hit them on the break.
Yeah, classic kind of counterattacking football.
Yeah, Leslie Ugochukwu, Joe Arbo, they'll be tasked with breaking up those attacks and launching those quick counterattacks.
Yeah, it's that classic clash of styles, isn't it? If Southampton can win that midfield battle and isolate Man U's attackers, they could really frustrate them, create some dangerous opportunities.
Another area to watch is out wide, I think.
Okay, yeah.
Man U's wingbacks, they love to push high and overload the flanks.
Right.
But that leaves space in behind them.
Right.
So Southampton's wide midfielders, they'll be looking to exploit those gaps.
It's going to be a real test of stamina and tactical awareness on both sides, I think.
Yeah.
The wingbacks need to pick their moments to attack really carefully, knowing that if they get caught out of position, Southampton could punish them.
Exactly. And then there's the question of, how both managers will approach the game tactically, right?
Mm-hmm.
Man U, despite their struggles, they're still expected to be the more proactive team, right?
The pressure's on them to take the game to Southampton, yeah.
They'll want to dominate possession, create those chances, but they also need to be wary of that counterattacking threat, right?
Yeah.
So Amorim might instruct his players to press high, try to force those mistakes at the back from Southampton.
Force them into those errors.
On the flip side, Southampton, they'll probably be content to sit back, absorb that pressure, and hit Man U on the break.
Okay.
It's a strategy that can be very effective, especially against a team that's feeling the pressure to win.
Yeah, Juric knows that a draw would be a fantastic result for his team.
Absolutely.
So we could see a cagey affair, Man U patiently probing for openings, and Southampton looking to, just exploit any sort of lapse, any defensive lapse.
I think it's a fascinating tactical battle brewing, Both managers have clear strengths and weaknesses in their system.
Yeah.
It all comes down to who can exploit the other's vulnerabilities more effectively.
And that's what makes this match so compelling, right?
Yeah.
It's not just about, the individual talent on the pitch. It's about this tactical chess match between two very different managers.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And beyond the formations, the strategies, there's also that psychological aspect, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So I think in part 3, we'll delve into the mental game a little bit, the pressure each team is facing and how that might affect their performance.
All right. So we've talked tactics, we've talked formations, key players, but now let's get inside the heads of these teams a little bit.
Yeah.
Because beyond the X's and O's, there's this whole mental game at play here, and that could be just as decisive.
Yeah, for sure.
So going into this one, what kind of pressure are Man U and Southampton under?
Well, I think for Man U, the pressure's got to be immense.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a club with a history of winning trophies. Their current league position is simply unacceptable to their fans, to the board. They need to start stringing wins together. And a home game against the bottom club, that's a game they're expected to win convincingly.
Yeah, anything less than a dominant performance is going to be seen as a disappointment. Right?
Exactly.
And these players know that, and that can weigh heavily, especially at a club with such high expectations.
But here's the thing. Those recent cup wins against Liverpool and Arsenal, those could be huge for their confidence,
Oh, yeah.
Momentum can be a powerful force in football.
Big time.
They've tasted victory against top-level competition, and that can give them belief that maybe, just maybe, they've turned a corner.
Yeah, it's like a switch flips, and suddenly that self-doubt starts to disappear.
Right.
Now, what about Southampton? They're in a relegation battle, so the pressure has to be intense for them as well, right?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. But it's a different kind of pressure.
Okay.
It's the pressure of survival, the desperation to claw their way out of the bottom of the table.
Yeah.
Every match is crucial. Every point could be the difference between staying up and going down.
So while Man U might be feeling the pressure of expectation, Southampton are dealing with the pressure of desperation.
Exactly.
And sometimes that, that backs against the wall mentality can be incredibly dangerous.
Oh, for sure. They become fearless, they have nothing to lose, and that can free them up to play with a sense of urgency and purpose that can really catch opponents off guard.
And let's not forget, they've pulled off upsets at Old Trafford before.
They have, yeah.
You got to wonder if that's playing on the minds of both teams a little bit.
Yeah, I'm sure it is.
Man U might be thinking, here we go again.
Yeah.
And Southampton might be drawing confidence from those past victories.
History can be a powerful motivator, both positively and negatively.
It can. Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see how that historical context plays into the mental game on Thursday night.
It's almost like we've got these competing psychological forces at play here.
Yeah.
Man U trying to overcome their home struggles, live up to their reputation. And then you've got Southampton fighting with everything they've got, knowing that they've defied the odds at Old Trafford before.
Absolutely. And all of that is layered on top of the tactical battle, the individual brilliance that we've talked about. It makes you realize that a football match is so much more than just what happens on the pitch.
Yeah.
It's a clash of styles, mentalities, histories, and ultimately it's about which team can best handle the pressure and execute their game plan.
So we've gone deep on the tactics, the history, the psychology.
Yeah.
We've unpacked these teams from every angle. What's your gut feeling? Can Man U overcome their home woes and put in a convincing performance against a desperate Southampton side?
It's tough to say logic tells you Man U should win this one, but there are so many intangibles at play here.
Right.
Southampton's fighting spirit, those historical January wins, the pressure on Man U to perform, all of that makes this match incredibly unpredictable.
And that unpredictability, that's what makes football so captivating, isn't it?
It is, yeah. We can analyze and dissect all we want, but ultimately, the beauty of the game lies in the fact that anything can happen on the day.
Well said. To everyone listening, as you watch this match unfold, remember all the layers that we've uncovered here.
Mm-hmm.
Pay attention not just to the goals and the saves, but to those tactical nuances, those mental battles, the weight of history.
It'll make the experience that much richer.
It really will. And who knows, maybe we'll see another chapter written in this fascinating rivalry between Man U and Southampton.
I hope so.
Enjoy the match, and thanks for joining us for another deep dive.